welcome back to Yoga with Mercedes. Today we'll be moving through Explore and Restore Yoga. This will be a relaxing practice. We'll start in a comfortable seat, and before we actually start our practice, let's check around and make sure that we have the appropriate props. So you'll want a yoga mat or a comfortable propping situation underneath you. We won't be doing any standing poses in this class. So we'll be seated, we'll be reclined, we'll do a little bit of kneeling, but we'll be really grounded in this practice. So you can really support yourself by having 2 blocks, a blanket, and a bolster. Now, if you don't have a bolster, that's all right. You can use a pillow or you can use a couple of pillows. Same thing with the blocks. If you don't have blocks, you can use a couple of pillows to support yourself. So just grab whatever you need from your home space, bring it close to your mat so that it's there to support you as we start our practice today. I'm actually going to use my blanket to sit on. I like that option because it brings the hips higher up than the knees. So that's a little more comfortable. And I find in my own body that this elevated lift also helps me to feel like I've got a straighter spine. I'm focusing on reaching the crown of my head up towards the ceiling and rooting down at the hips. Now, the seated breath that we're going to take today, we're going to move our hands. So we're going to explore having our hands to our belly, our hands to our ribs, and our hands to our chest. And we're going to do 3 rounds of breathing in this way. So let's start by bringing our hands to our belly. As you bring your hands to your belly, take an inhale breath, feel the belly expand. And as you exhale, feel the belly soften. Inhale again, feel the belly expand. And as you exhale, feel the belly button moving in towards the spine. Let's take one more full round. Inhale, feel the belly getting bigger. And then exhale, feel that belly button moving in towards the spine. Good. Now just relax there. Take a round of your natural breath. And then we'll explore bringing the hands to the ribs. So bring the hands to the outside of the ribs. Now, as you inhale, feel the ribs move away from each other. And as you exhale, feel the ribs knitting in towards each other. Let's explore that again. Inhale, feel the space creating as the ribs move away from each other. And then exhale, feel the ribs moving back in towards each other. One more full round. Inhale to the top of the breath. Exhale, release. Now we'll take the hands to the chest. Inhale, feel the chest expand. Exhale, feel the chest soften. Let's explore 2 more rounds of this breath. Good. Now gently start to flutter the eyes open. Let's put that all together. Bring your hands to your belly. Take a full round of breath here. Take the hands to the ribs. Full round of breath here. Take the hands to the chest. Full round of breath here. And then relax the arms down. With the gaze inward and the eyes closed, explore your natural and spontaneous breath. The way that you're breathing without force or control. You might even notice that the breath is longer now that we've practiced sitting with the breath. Continue to notice how it feels to breathe with intention to notice the detail of your breath. You can flutter the eyes open when you're ready. So we practice taking the hands to the belly, to the ribs, and to the chest. Because when we have our hands placed on these parts, then we can notice how much we expand our torso, how much we can move the torso with the breath. And then that breath is going to be really beneficial for us in our practice. So getting into the movement part of our practice, we'll tuck our chin towards our chest, lengthening the back of the neck. Pausing here and feeling that stretch. Noticing that you might even feel that stretch going into the shoulders. Lower the chin even more, get a deeper stretch. Totally and completely relaxing the head down. Allowing yourself to release tension from this area. Now you're welcome to stay like this, or you can move one ear above the same side shoulder. Now noting how it feels to stretch the opposite side of the neck. Pausing and holding for as long as you need to release that tension. And then when you're ready, take your chin towards your chest. Take the other ear above the same side shoulder. Pause there if you need to. And also take this time to notice if this side feels different than the other. And breathe. Allow this breath to support the movement, the opening. And if you're ready to continue the movement, inhale your head to one direction. Exhale, take your head to the opposite direction. Just taking half circles. Enjoying how this movement feels and this connection with your physical body. Noticing how your body feels today. What it wants. What it needs. And start to find your way to center. Lift your chin, gaze forward. Now that we've paid attention to releasing the neck, we're going to take it a little lower into the shoulders. As you inhale, reach your fingers out. So the fingers are reaching away from each other. And as you exhale, take one arm to cross over the other. Now bend your elbows. Maybe your hands or your palms meet. If not, that's okay. What's important is to lift the elbows up. And as you hold the lift, feel the stretch of the shoulder of your top arm. Keep lifting the elbows up. Keep breathing. And on your next exhale, gently unwind the arms. Inhale, reach the arms back out. Exhale, opposite arm crosses over, elbows bend. Hands come towards each other to meet. Lift the elbows up. Hold the lift. Breathe. As you focus on your breath, feel the stretch now at this shoulder. On your next exhale, gently unwind the arms. Inhale, reach the arms out. And then exhale, let the arms come down. Moving now from our shoulders towards our triceps. We'll lift one arm up and then let the elbow bend. Now take your other arm to your elbow and just notice how it feels to gently bring the elbow towards your head and back. Feeling a nice stretch in your upper arm. You might even feel sensation in the back space. Gently release the arms, slowly bring them both down. Now reach the opposite arm up, bend your elbow. Take your other hand to your elbow, gently guide it towards your head and then back. Explore the breath here. Release, open the arms up, bring them down. Now know that we are going to explore the entire back space, especially the upper back for some deeper extension and in order to release some tension that we might be holding there. Before we come into the supported posture for the mid and upper back, we're going to move into the hips and legs. So what you'll want to do is now transition into a kneeling position. In your kneeling position, you might want to set your blanket or your knee pad if you're working with one to just give extra cushion and support your knees. If you don't need that, that's all right. You can just come right onto your kneeling position. I do recommend inviting the blocks on. So I'm not going to use my blanket, so I'm just going to set it aside for now. But we're all going to need the blocks. So let's invite them on and position them to the highest height. Now, before we grab onto the blocks, let's come into our tabletop position with our knees under our hips, our wrists under our shoulders, our fingers are spread wide. As you inhale, let your belly lower towards the mat. And as you exhale, lift your back, just getting a little bit of mobility and fluidity for the spine. Inhale, belly lowers. Exhale, lift the back. And again, for one more round. We find our way to a neutral tabletop position. And now this is where we're going to grab onto our blocks. Hands come onto the blocks at the highest height. Now, if you don't have blocks, don't worry. You might use another prop. You might bring your hands to a chair or some books or something like that. If you'd like to get some blocks, please feel free to reach out to me and I can send you to a couple places that'll have them for you at a really nice cost. So positioning yourself with your support. The reason why we're getting a little lift is because we're going to bring one foot forward and this is going to give us more space to do that. Now, some of you won't even need the blocks because you can bring your hands down. For our Explore and Restore class today, I'm recommending the use of the blocks. Now, we want to press the hips forward so that we can get that front knee tracking above the ankle. You can stay with your hands supported on the blocks, or you can take your hands to your thigh. Now, if you take your hands to your thigh and continue to press your hips forward, now you're going to get a deeper opening for the front of the opposite hip. So my left leg is forward, so I'm feeling a really nice deep opening in the right side. Remember, it's going to feel better for some of you to take your hands to the blocks. So try both options. See which one's working for you today. And then breathe. Notice if you're dumping a lot of weight into the blocks and see if you can lift so that you're not pressing weight down, but at the same time, you're pressing the hips forward. Moving on from here, we'll lift the hips and take them back just enough so that your hips are above your back knee. Okay? Now you might reposition the blocks. You might not need the blocks if you can bring your fingertips or your palms down to the mat. Now, if you bring your fingertips or your palms down to the mat and you feel stress in your back, then come back onto the blocks and know that you can rotate them to a different height. So we've got 3 different heights for the blocks. So my left hip is bothering me today, so I'm gonna fully support myself. Now, the left leg is straight, the toes are lifted. Take an inhale breath. And as you exhale, bend your elbows, fold forward. Relax your head and your neck. On your next inhale, lift your head. Bend your knee, shift forward. And then exhale, take the hip back. Moving between these 2 postures for 3 rounds. And then we'll meet with the front knee bent. From here, we'll lower the blocks so that we can lower our torso down. And then take the blocks off the mat so that you've got space. Now we're gonna go deeper for the hip. We're shimmy that left foot to the right side of the mat. We're setting up for a supported pigeon. If you've got a lot of space underneath your hip of your bent leg, you're gonna position a block there. Now, to support yourself, I recommend bringing a bolster, short end of the bolster, coming up to your front shin. Now, you can lower down and rest your chest and your head on the bolster. This might feel like a really nice height. If this is way too much of a stretch for your hip, then I recommend getting a little more height, taking the block or 2 underneath the bolster. Now you're more at an incline. So my hip is tight, so I'm gonna start there today. Let your upper body sink down onto the bolster. If you feel that you need support underneath that lifted hip and the block is too high, then you can take a blanket there. Now you're not holding yourself up. You're fully relaxing down onto the props. Continue to wiggle yourself around and make sure that you're comfortable. We'll be here for a few minutes. And with each exhale, see if you can soften. With each exhale, practice surrendering to the pose. Now that we're halfway through, notice if you want to change the propping. If you had a block under your bolster, maybe it's time to remove it, maybe not. Check in with yourself. The most comfortable variation that you can find is the right one for the restorative practice. We need to fully allow ourselves to feel supported and comfortable, to really let go. Find your breath. Notice your torso pressing to your props with each inhalation. And take a sigh of relief with each exhalation. Slowly starting to come out. Give yourself permission to move slowly and carefully, first lifting your head, then taking your palms to the mat. As you inhale, peel the chest and the belly off of the bolster. If you've got a prop underneath your hip, just send it out to the side. Now lift your hips. You can send the bolster away for now. Bring your knees in line with each other. Open the knees wide. Bring the big toes in towards each other. We're coming into a child's pose. Now you can come into child's pose with your head touching down to the mat or to a block. If you need a little bit of support, then you're going to bring the bolster between the legs. Let the torso lay here. After finding the option that's best supporting your physical body, simply let yourself ground down and breathe. Notice if you feel a difference from one hip to the other. With each exhale, relax. Your next inhale, slowly lift your head and slowly shift forward to a tabletop position. Take your time to set yourself up. Bring the knees under the hips, bring the wrists under the shoulders. Take a moment to circle the hips around, allowing these circles to be as big or as small as you'd like. And then circle around opposite direction. Find your way to center. Now the hip that you were just opening, the leg that was in front, you can lift this knee and circle it around, just releasing any tension from that deep hip opener, that longer hold. And then take a few circles opposite direction. Just flossing that hip out. And then sending the knee down. Take a full round of breath here. Inhaling through the nostrils. Exhale, open your mouth, let it go. Now taking that mini sequence on the other side, we'll grab onto our blocks. This way we get a little height, which will make it easier to bring the knee under the body and then step the foot forward. As we step the foot forward, we press the hips forward. We check and make sure that the knee is in line with the ankle. If we feel that we're dumping weight forward, we can move the blocks back. Now, opening the front of the other hip. Option to take your hands from the blocks onto the thigh. This is going to provide a deeper stretch if you are ready for that, if that's okay for your body. If not, you're going to bring your hands back down to the blocks. Notice if you're holding your breath, and if so, remind yourself to breathe. Now slowly send the hips back. Just enough to where your hip is in line with your back knee. Your front leg will be straight. Lift the toes off the mat. Remember, here is where you can decide if you want to rotate the blocks lower, or maybe you don't need the blocks. If your fingertips and palms can reach the mat. As you exhale, you're going to fold. As you fold, you'll feel a nice stretch at the hamstring, back of the thigh. Notice if you're holding your head up, and if so, let it go. Let the head and the neck relax. On your next inhale, lift your head. Take the blocks back to your hands. Inhale, press the knee forward. Exhale, take the hips back. Couple more rounds. Movement following the breath. And the next time the knee is above the ankle, we'll meet here. Know that from here we're setting up for our supported pigeon pose. So if you had a prop for this side, this hip, you might want to take that prop over to the other side. You might or might not need it. This hip might be different, and that's totally okay. We will let go of the blocks, just sending them off the mat. Lower yourself down. Shimmy your front foot over to the opposite side of the mat. Now the front knee is bent. Extend the back leg. You can come all the way down if that's available in your body. If not, you can pull the bolster up to your shin. And as you pull the bolster up to your shin, know that now you're going to lay your belly and your chest onto the bolster. Remember, if your hip is a little lifted and it needs some support, position a block or a blanket underneath. This way your body can fully ground down and you're not holding yourself up. Now, if your head was turned in one direction on the other side, go ahead and turn it to the other direction. And just like we did on the other side, you might support yourself. If you need to come onto an incline, positioning a block underneath the bolster. Now we're at the halfway point on this side. So if you used a block underneath your bolster, you might want to explore releasing it now if you're ready for that. If not, that's totally cool to leave it there. And then let the head rest back down. Notice if you're holding tension. And if so, on an exhale breath, just relax the body down. Feel the support of the props below you. We're on our last minute of this side. Almost time to come out. Just a couple more rounds of breath. Let the hip open up. Explore your breath. And let the breath assist you to surrendering to the pose. Rotate your palms facing down to the mat. And as you inhale, lift your head, peel your chest and your belly off the bolster. Slowly allowing yourself to come out with control. Slowly lifting the hips, removing any prop that was under the hip. Sliding the knee back, opening the knees the width of the mat. We're coming back into child's pose. You can use the bolster between the thighs or not. This will just depend on how comfortable child's pose is for you today. Extend the arms forward. Let the forehead meet the mat. The more you reach your fingers forward, the deeper you'll feel a stretch at the arms and shoulders. And then exhale, relax the arms. Sink in. Keep sending the hips back to the heels. Keep sinking in. Notice your right hip. Notice your left hip. Notice both hips. And slowly start to shift out carefully, lifting the hips, bringing them forward. You might even explore pressing the hips towards the mat, keeping the arms straight, creating space between the feet, sending the shoulders back, and then lifting the hips again. Now we'll bring the knees to meet and the feet to meet. Coming into a different version of child's pose, now sending the hips towards the heels, but this time we're going to curl the toes. As we curl the toes and we press the hips back, now we're getting a nice stretch at the space underneath the toes, and this is a space where we hold a lot of stress and tension. So we're going to practice keeping the toes curled, and then we'll lower the head as we walk the hands towards the body. Forehead can come directly down to the mat or to a prop. And then the hands are going to reach for the heels or the ankles. Now the shoulders are relaxed. And now we're getting space and release at the low back. As you hold on to the heels or the ankles, feel the back stretch. Now we're getting flexion in the spine. If your toes are uncomfortable, you can uncurl them. This will relax the arms even more. Let's see if you can keep hold of the heels or the ankles. Now you'll feel your belly pressing to your thighs. Remember your props. If your hips don't meet your feet, you can position a blanket between the two. If your forehead doesn't meet the mat, you can place a pillow, a block, or a bolster there. Fully support yourself with your props. If you rather release your feet and relax your arms, palms facing up, you're welcome to do so. Know that by releasing the hands, you'll make the stretch more passive. Completely letting go. Breathe. Know that we're in our last minute
of this shape. Continue to settle in with each exhale breath. Continue to find the variation that's most comfortable for you, the option that you feel most supported in. Take one more full round of breath, inhaling deeply through the nostrils. Exhale, open your mouth, let it go. Bring your hands under your shoulders, palms towards the mat. Slowly and gently lift out. Lift the hips. Shift back to a tabletop position. Send the legs to one direction. Come onto your seat. As you come onto your seat, extend your legs in front of you. Look around for your props. Bring them all around where you can reach them. We're going to see which option is going to support us best for our Paschimottanasana. So we're going to take a seated forward fold. To prepare, you might want to lean to one side and then take your hand to pull the flesh back of the other side. And then lean to this side, pull the flesh back of the other side. Notice how much more grounded you feel when you do that in your sits bones. Now looking at your legs, bring your hands outside of your hips, support yourself, make yourself in this L shape. As you inhale, point your toes, get a nice stretch at the top of the feet. And as you exhale, flex your feet, bring your toes towards your body. Inhale, point, exhale, flex. One more. Inhale, point, exhale, flex. Now for this posture, we're taking a seated forward fold. We're going to move the torso towards the legs. You might be able to bring your body all the way down to your legs. You might need a bigger prop like a bolster. If you're working with a bolster, position it on top of your shins or your thighs, but avoid your knee area. You don't want to press any weight down on your knees. You might even start with the bolster on your thighs, and then as you fold forward, if this feels limited to you, then the bolster can come towards the shins, and then that's going to let you lower down more. So nice deep stretch for the hamstrings and also for the back. Now, if you need different propping, you might place a blanket on top of the bolster. This way you can practice letting your arms rest down on the mat and your forehead onto the blanket. Now we're fully supported and we're able to give time for our back to open up. Continue to let the arms relax. Invite a bend into the elbows, letting the arms soften. Let your body be supported by the props, allowing you to start with a gentle stretch. And when you're ready to go deeper, you can change the propping. Wiggle around and modify at any point you need to. Listen to your body. Know if you've gone too far or if you need more. Know when to lean in and when to back out. We've got just 30 seconds left. Exhale, relax. Inhale, lift your head. Slowly come out. Slow, slow, slow. Now remove the prop if you were working with one. We've got one more posture to take before Shavasana. So this is going to be a supported fish pose. We will need one block, possibly 2 blocks. So scoot yourself onto the mat so that your hips are at the middle of the mat. Now you're going to take one block to position underneath your back. Now we want to think about this block going directly underneath. Okay, so you might think about the corners of the block getting right underneath the shoulder blades. You'll know where the right positioning is as you lay down, but I recommend looking back, making sure it's centered, and then holding onto the block as you come back. Now your other block you might want to have close by to support your head. So this could be at the same height as the first block, or it could go lower. If you go lower and this bothers your neck, if it bothers your neck to have it at the same height, then you can take it higher. So this is really going to depend on each individual. So holding on to that first block, roll yourself back. And slowly bring your upper back onto the block. Notice that it might feel a little intense at first. And then let the head find that second block, or the head can come all the way down. Now the shape of your legs is entirely up to you. Before we take our leg variations, notice what's happening with the block. So I've got my block at the same height. I'm going to take the block underneath my head lower so that I can press deeper into my upper back. And I feel it a little bit moving into my low back, so I'm going to send the block up even higher. So this time of modifying is really important so you can find that sweet spot. Now with your legs, you can keep them straight, or you can bend your knees, splay the knees out, bring the soles of the feet together for Baddha Konasana legs. Now, if you've got space underneath the thighs, you can position pillows or blankets underneath to support yourself. Your hands can find your belly if you want to reconnect to the expansion of your torso with each breath. Maybe you bring the elbows down and take your palms to your ribs. Or maybe you decide to take your hands to your chest. These are all just options. Your arms could also lower down beside you. Now, we've been here for about 2 minutes already. If you're noticing that your upper back does not feel good, it might be too intense depending on how your back feels today, then I want to show you a more gentle option. The more gentle option would be to take 2 blocks together at the short ends. This will now be positioned underneath your bra strap. So facing away, holding onto the blocks. Think about bringing the shoulder blade area onto the blocks. And as you bring your head back, if you need support, you can position your blanket or your pillow there for your head. Now, in this position, if you open your arms out to the sides, now you're getting a really nice chest and shoulder opener. This is also a heart opener. Anytime we take postures that are heart openers, we practice cultivating love and compassion for ourselves and others. Exhale, sigh of relief. Practice inhaling fully. Exhale, letting go completely. Now for your legs, if your low back needs a release, you can open your feet the width of the mat and let the knees come in towards each other. Continue to settle in and observe each breath. Let everything go. Continue to relax with each exhale. Know that you're in control of your body. You modify and move when you need to adjust. This is explore and restore. Exploring the different options. Knowing that the right choice is the one that feels best to you today.
If your arms are out to the sides, slowly bring them in. On your next inhale breath, slowly and carefully lift your head, remove the prop that's underneath it. Continue to lift the shoulders. Now press the forearms and the hands down. You're going to now lift yourself just enough to remove the blocks out to the side. As you remove the blocks out to the side, you'll bring your entire back space back onto the mat. Bend the knees, bring the soles of the feet to the mat. Bring your hands to your belly. Focus on your breath. Feel the belly rise with the inhale. And feel the belly soften with the exhale. Continue to bring awareness to your breath. Feel this neutral spine. Feel yourself grounded from your head to your shoulders, down your back to your tailbone and your feet. Breathe. From here, we'll come into Shavasana. You might decide to stay as you are if this feels good. You might decide to extend your legs, creating space at the feet and maybe taking some circles at the ankles, drawing circles with the big toes, and then switching it up opposite direction. Now, if you need and want to support your low back, I'm going to show you another option today. And in this option, we'll need 2 blocks and a bolster or 2 blocks and a blanket. So we take the blocks to where your lower legs are going to go, positioning the blocks just a little wider than hip distance. Now, if you don't have a bolster, you'll position your blanket on top, making a nice cushion for your low legs. If you do have a bolster, then you're going to lay it across the blocks. This is going to give you some really nice height to bring your lower legs on. So you want to think about your calf muscles resting onto the bolster. And as you lay down, now you'll feel that natural lift at the low back, pressing down to the mat. This is a really supported option for Shavasana. If you'd like to move into the rest of your day or evening receiving, then you can rotate your palms facing up. If you feel that you would benefit more from grounding, then you can rotate your palms facing down. You decide. And remember, you've got the option as well to take your palms to your belly. Feeling the movement of the torso with each breath. However you land in your relaxation pose, tuck your chin to your chest. Lengthen the back of the neck. Close your eyes. Take a deep inhale all the way to the top of the breath. And as you exhale, let go, sink into the mat. Relax. Breathe. And just be present with yourself. All you need to do here is just relax. Notice how it feels to let yourself ground down. Enjoy this time of self-care. I'll let you know when it's time to come out. Wherever you've drifted off to, notice your breath. Notice the breath that you're experiencing right now. Notice if there's space to deepen that breath. Inhale, exploring this breath. Exhale, restoring this body. As we close our practice today, you can decide if you'd like to stay in this reclined position. If this is really working for you and you feel like you'd want some more time, you're welcome to do so. If you're ready to start to transition out, then you can start to wiggle the fingers and toes, gently and slowly inviting the movement back into the physical body. Taking your time to move from reclined onto one side. And then from your side, finding your seat. And setting yourself up as comfortably as you can. Still exploring the breath through the transition. If you'd like, you can bring your palms together, thumbs to the heart center. Take a deep inhale, feel the chest pressing to the thumbs. Exhale, open your mouth, let it go. I hope that this practice served you to explore and restore yourself. Try to offer yourself self-love daily if possible, through your practice and through your choices. Thank you for participating with me today. Namaste.